Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. Today we are on the Tesway X7-Pro. This is their step-over version of their ultra-long-range 52-volt, 60-amp-hour e-bike. They do have a step-through version of this as well. Feel free to check out my buddy's channel, Chris Crossed. He did recently review the step-through version of this bike. But like I mentioned before, this bike has a huge battery, 52 volts, 60 amp hours, dual suspension, and it is foldable, and it comes in at a great price. A lot of the times these bikes do go on sale, so to see the most up-to-date price, check the link in the description below. I will also have any available discount codes and coupon codes listed there as well. So this bike has a ton of different features, and some of which might be valuable to you depending on what your needs are. But before all of that, we're going to go ahead and start our 0 to 20 test, throttle only. We're on pedal assist level 5. Without further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom. Very soft start. This isn't going to be fast. 20. There it is. And I did already bed the brakes, and I checked if the speedometer is accurate. And thankfully it is pretty much accurate, so we don't have to use our GPS speedometer for today. Let's head over to our main hill climb test. Alright, here we go. Main hill climb test. Let's see how this bike does. Without further ado, 3, 2, 1, go. Ooh, very soft start. It was tough to stay upright. Wow. Alright, let's see how this does. This bike has a 23 amp controller, so not a whole lot of power, but a decent amount. And by the way, if you guys like content like this, please feel free to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification bell, follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and I have 2 Facebook groups, e-bike addicts and high-speed e-bikes, 40 miles an hour and up. We have a lot of fun over there. And look at this, crossing over at just about 21 miles an hour. All right, not the fastest, not the slowest. We are on a full fresh charge, so let's go ahead and see where the free spinning wheel tops out in speed. All right, so it looks like the motor will give us just about 32 miles an hour. Let's see if we can actually get that on our downhill speed test. We're gonna pedal up to speed and see where the motor tops out. Pedal, 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 pedal. All right, we're at 30. 32, okay, yeah. I feel the motor cut out right at 34 miles an hour. Look at that, 35, but this is all gravity assisted. So you can easily get to the top speed of this bike going pretty much down any hill. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna make our way over to the steep hill climb test. On the way there, we're gonna talk about something that I noticed while riding this bike. It is very, very maneuverable. The steering is light, and I can turn the wheel a lot one way or another. This bike feels extremely nimble. If I need to turn it around a tight corner, let's say I'm just standing and I need to turn the bike, I can easily do it with this bike. Very nimble feeling bike, especially considering the size battery this bike has. Typically these giant 60 amp hour battery e-bikes that are out there are huge and heavy feeling, and this one is heavy, but only at the back. I am happy to report that the front does feel nice and light. So something else this bike features is the ability to fold up, and with that you're going to get compact handlebars. These are a little bit on the narrower side. This whole stem does fold down, the frame does fold up as well. I know some of you guys are like, oh, it's a pogo stick e-bike. I don't care. It's functional. This is going to be useful for some people. Some people want function over form. Some people want form over function. Alright, I'm a little bit nervous for this steep hill climb test because even though it's 52 volts, the controller is 23 amps, this starts me off so slow. I don't really know how much power this thing is going to give me. Here we go, starting at the line, steep hill climb test, 3, 2, 1, boom. Such a soft start. Wow. Let's see if this can do it. Let's switch to a lowest gear just in case. And no way. That's too bad. That's a shame. I do like it when bikes can at least do the steep hill climb test, even if it's at a slower speed. But it looks like with this bike, you're not going to get all that much torque. They do advertise this bike at 100 Newton meters of torque. I'm not so sure about that. So this bike does have a budget-oriented front fork. You do feel it working, but it does bottom out fairly easily. Going up that curb that you guys just saw, I did bottom out the fork. It does work, but it's nothing special. Here we go. Yeah, definitely bottomed out that fork. What are you gonna do? I do feel the rear suspension working all right. It is definitely absorbing some of the larger bumps. Thankfully, this bike does come with the large, knobby, thicker tire, so that's gonna help absorb the smaller bumps. Let's give you guys a quick top speed test at our secondary top speed testing site. All right, so what we're gonna do is pedal up to speed, maybe to about 30, and see where the motor takes us. This road does flatten out in the middle. All right, throttle only. Looks like I felt the motor cut out at exactly 33. And it looks like we're flattening out at about 32 miles an hour. And before we continue on talking, let's also do a 20 mile an hour brake test. Ready, and brake. Oh, that was good. Not too bad. Okay, so the brakes work, and I did bed them in. All right, so the brakes work fairly well, thanks to the quad piston calipers and the extra thick 180 millimeter rotors. I think these brakes will do just fine with a bike like this. And before we continue with this ride, let's quickly head inside into the MCHQ and talk about the specs and components of this bike. See you guys in a bit.
Laura, do you want to see the Tesway X7-Pro specs and components? Is that what you want? Okay, let's take a look.
At the top, we've got locking, rubberized handlebar grips, DY island, hydraulic and adjustable brake levers, simple control panel with a little USB port underneath. Clean looking minimalist display. I've seen this display on a bunch of other bikes before. Gives you simple information like your battery bar, speedometer, pedal assist level, your trip distance, odometer, your max speed and average speed. And I did go into the settings and unlock the top speed of this bike, which you do by holding the plus and minus buttons until you get to the P settings. Go ahead and press plus to move into the next P setting until you get to P6, which is going to show you 51 kilometers an hour, and that is the highest number that I can get for the top speed. Typical Mickey Mouse style Shimano 7-speed shifter and a half twist throttle. And we got our horn button right here. Very loud horn. This bike features an adjustable height stem, and the stem is foldable because this entire bike is foldable. Moving on down, here is our Tesway logo. This is kind of cool. It's like a metal plaque bolted onto the frame. I kind of like it. Very simple suspension fork with a lockout and preload adjustment. Front headlight turns on with the push of one button. And it looks like we got 4 bright LEDs in there. You also get a rear light, which does function as a brake light. For fenders, we have plastic fenders in the front and in the rear. For brakes, we get 180 millimeter rotors with quad piston calipers. That is a very nice setup, and that should stop this bike on a dime. And you do get the same exact setup in the back. For wheels, this bike has mag wheels, which do look nice, but they are on the heavier side compared to spoked wheels. And for tires, we get Kenda Crusade 20x4 inch knobbies. Moving on down, let's take a look at the frame. I like this logo. Check this out, guys. It's like this reflective color. I kind of like that. The frame has a cross beam right over here, which is great as a carrying handle for when this bike is folded up. Controller sits down here. I do like the folding mechanism of this bike. It has a safety built in. This lever right here that you have to pull out first before you can even unlatch the main latch of this bike. That is very nice. So you latch it back in, put the safety lever back in, and now your frame is fully secured and locked in. Looks like we've got some cabling running underneath the frame. This does make things easier to maintain, easier to service, but some people think that internal cable routing looks much better. Personally, I'm a fan of easy maintenance and easy servicing, so I actually like it when cabling is exposed like this. The frame of this bike is advertised to support 350 pounds. For a seat, you get an extra wide, fairly squishy seat.
For rear suspension, you get 2 of these, looks like progressive spring shocks in the back. It looks like this is some type of a reservoir, although I don't see anywhere where I could adjust the suspension. Moving to the rear of the frame, as you can tell, the rear rack is part of the frame, which is gonna mean it can support a lot of cargo. And I do have the cargo basket accessory mounted into this frame. Based on the holes that the basket has, there was no way for me to mount this basket the long way, so unfortunately I had to mount it the short way. Here's what the bike looks like with the front and the rear basket installed. However, we're gonna be removing this front basket because maybe I'm missing it from the box, maybe Tesway didn't think of this, but what this bike needs is an extension cable for the front light. I need an extension cord from here. The reason why is, as you can tell right now, there's clearance. Just barely enough clearance for the front light. However, if there's cargo on top of this rack, you're not gonna see this front light. And when the suspension, when the front fork does compress, the light runs into the rack. So definitely get yourself some kind of extension cord for the front light to mount over here. Oh yeah, and also when I turn the front wheel, I run out of cable for the front light. It actually unplugs when I turn the front wheel too much to the right. So yeah, Tesway, definitely I'd recommend including that extension cord, and then you'll be all set to use the front rack. Now this bike also comes with an additional seat that you can install on the rear rack and the backrest as well. So in theory, you could have a passenger back here. Now what's cool is that you also get a platform for your passenger's feet. And just in case you guys are curious, here's what the bike looks like without any basket. So no rear basket, no front basket. What do you guys think? Baskets or no baskets? You let me know in the comments. Charge port for the battery. The key has to remain in the bike when you use it. Currently it's set to the on position. To turn it off, switch it to the off position, and then to remove the key, you have to push the key in, turn the key, and then you can take it out. Some people like this, some people don't. I guess it's a good security feature to have if that's something you're interested in. And to remove this battery, you do have to take this seat off, set the key to the unlock position, and then the battery can easily slide out. And make sure to unplug this right here. And now you can easily lift the battery out. To put it back in, you just go ahead and reverse everything you just did. Plug the power cable back in, make sure this is firmly pushed in. Go ahead and put the seat back on, and then you can turn the bike on. Here's the label for the battery. As you can see, it says 52 volts, 60 amp hours. That is a big battery. And this battery comes with a 6 amp charger. Taking off the side panel for the controller, as you can see, there's a foam block keeping the controller in place. That's great because a lot of times these controllers are just shoved into this compartment and they end up rattling around. This one will stay put. And it looks like the current limit for this controller is 23 amps. And that means that this rear motor is gonna get just about 1200 watts at peak power. And you'll get a little bit more when the battery is fully charged. 52 volt batteries do go up to about 58 volts at full charge. And at the peak voltage of just over 58 volts, this motor is going to peak just over 1300 watts. I'm not exactly sure why it says the motor peaks at 1600 watts on the website. And this bike is advertised to have 100 Newton meters of torque. For gearing, this bike comes with a 7-speed Shimano transmission, a Shimano tourney derailleur, and a derailleur guard. Up front, you do get a larger 52 tooth chainring, which is gonna really help make ghost pedaling less of an issue with this bike. Look at that, this chain comes with a quick connect section. So if you ever have to remove the chain and you don't wanna remove the rear wheel, this little quick connect will make it very easy to do so. And since this bike is foldable, you do get foldable pedals.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ride of the Tesway X7-Pro. So if you guys haven't noticed, this bike doesn't have all that much power. So why would you buy this bike? Well, if you want a lot of range, this might be a good option. Typically, e-bikes that give you a whole lot of power eat up that power a lot faster than a smaller, lower current controller. Even if you think you're gonna have throttle discipline, when you're accelerating or when you're climbing hills, you're not gonna have discipline. Everyone always says that, but more than likely you're gonna be using up power a lot more with a higher current controller. With this bike, it's going to very slowly sip on that giant 52 volt, 60 amp hour battery. And so if you're someone who needs a ton of range on a foldable bike, this might be a good option. Let's say you need to store your bike in a small area and you're doing Uber Eats or something like that, and you're also not a speed demon. I think this bike might be a great option for you. Let's go through the different pedal assist levels. So each pedal assist level is linked to the throttle. What I mean by that is at level 1, if I pedal, it gives me power all the way up to about 13 miles an hour. And that's also where the throttle tops you out. So the throttle never gives you full power. It'll give you whatever the pedal assist speed level is set to. Pedal assist level 2 gives us about 17 miles an hour. Level 3 gives us 26 miles an hour. Yep, 26. Level 4 will give us, looks like just about 30 miles an hour. And then of course level 2 gives you a tiny bit more, to that 32, 33 mile an hour range. The contact points of this bike do feel okay. Even though these are locking grips, which I do love my locking grips, a lot of handlebar grips that you get in these bikes, they can twist all over and these stay put. I would have liked ergonomic grips on a bike like this, considering it's a long-range bike. I'm not going to be doing aggressive off-roading. I want some handlebar grips where I can rest my hands on the handlebars. Thankfully, that is a very inexpensive and easy fix. So in case you guys want to swap these out, that's easy to do. One thing you probably won't need to swap out is the seat. Initial impressions on the seat are better than average. It's a mostly soft seat. Even though the seat does feel like it's on the firmer side, it is nice and wide. So you do get a nice amount of surface area where you can spread your butt cheeks on and comfortably ride on your 60 amp hour long range e-bike. And a big seat on a bike like this is way more important because it has a huge battery. With bikes like this, your rear end gives up before the battery does. You can easily, I assure you, you can easily get 50 miles of range throttle only with this bike if you really wanted to. And you could probably get 100 to 150 miles of range if you did pedal and you conserved some of the battery. And the pedals are a mix of plastic and metal, but they feel okay. Nothing special there. Let's talk about some of the electronics on the handlebar. Very simple, easy to use control panel, and it does have a USB port down here. That's kind of nice. Clean and easy to read display, although it's a little bit too clean. I always like to see voltage and how many watts I'm using at a given moment. So it would have been nice if this display did have those two items. The horn on this bike does sound good. It doesn't sound like a tiny little beeping noise that I've heard some other bikes have. So people will definitely hear it. And before we continue, we must continue the tradition of increasing the handlebars as high as possible, higher than it says is allowed, and go into ape hanger mode. And immediately, this e-bike becomes a chick magnet. Look at this. All these single mobs probably hanging out in these houses, middle of the day. Watch out. Alright, I got that out of my system. I'm not sure if there's a way to change the starting strength in the settings. I did poke around in there. I don't think there is, but I would have liked for there to be a little bit more torque from the start, because in instances where you have to cross a road, it is nice to have that quick boost in power. I know that it does put more wear and tear on the motor, and it does eat up a lot more power, but that's just something that I find important. So like right now, let's say we're at a busy intersection and I only have a limited time to cross, and I have to pedal either really hard with the bike or do this. It's a little too slow for comfort. Getting on and off this bike is typically okay. However, with the basket being mounted like this, the wider way, when I do try and swing my leg over, it does tend to get in the way of the basket. So if you do want to mount this bike, you got to really swing your leg over and then you're good to go. Otherwise, your two options are to not use the basket or to get the step-through version of this bike. But it is pretty cool that they have these platforms right here, because you can also attach a seat with a backrest to this. And ladies and gentlemen, when you do increase the handlebar height into ape hanger mode, oh man, you're going to have that seat filled. There's going to be a lot of women dying to sit in that seat. One good thing about this rack is that I can easily use it to lift up the bike. And look at the steering radius. I can steer this thing in one spot if I need to. And so if you need a bike that's both long range and nimble, this is it right here. Let's see where this bike ghost pedals. We're gonna pedal as fast as we can. So I'm still getting resistance at the top speed of this bike. Yep, I feel that motor cut out. Right when I hit 33, it cut out, went back to 32. You won't really be ghost pedaling this bike because it does have that larger chainring. This bike is so nimble, almost too nimble. Like if I turn the wheel too abruptly, it's gonna throw me off the bike. But I've never been on such a long range e-bike before that's got such nimble steering. Like if I feel like I could just swerve between any obstacle with this bike so easily. Tight driveway, easy. Get back on, no problem. Oh boy. Some bikes, they can do this, but it doesn't feel as easy as it does on this. Some of the bigger, heavier bikes. That's something that's never really conveyed in these videos. A lot of people like the super high speed, super long range bikes. They are buildable. Ladies and gentlemen, you can make them. But you're going to suffer from two things. Number one is cost. It's going to be expensive. And number two, something that never is conveyed through videos is weight, how heavy these bikes are. They are monstrous. And this one, thankfully, is not. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Tesway X7-Pro step-over model. They do, of course, sell this in the step-through version as well. I will have links to this bike and that bike in the description below, along with any coupon codes that are available. This bike is being sold at a very good price. A lot of the times it goes on sale, so make sure you check the price using the link in the description below to get the most up-to-date price. Let me know what you guys think about this long-range, lighter weight, foldable e-bike. Seems to be a good option if you need something that can carry a lot of cargo and be lightweight and nimble and go very far. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this bike. If you guys want a list of recommended accessories, maximum charge approved, check out the links in the description below. I also have a couple cool e-bikes listed down there. Feel free to check those out. If you like content like this, if I've earned your subscription, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. Like the video, leave a comment, hit the notification bell. And I am also all over social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I have 2 Facebook groups, e-bike addicts and high-speed e-bikes, 40 miles an hour and up. We do have a lot of fun over there. That group has exploded. That's it for today, folks. Until next time.